Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of I'm moving on. This has become kind of a series because this has been a transition for me over 10 years. So I've been exclusively using TBS for a decade and many flights. I've trusted this system deep into the mountains, down into the valleys, and in the biggest farmer fields of Oregon and Eastern Oregon for many years. And I've trusted this system. It has only fail-safed me a couple times in 10 years, and it's very reliable. It does run on 915. And what I love about it, and I want to talk about the things I love about it first, is that it has auto updates over the air to the receiver. So if you buy an older receiver and you have newer firmware, it will update that receiver from the main module, which is super cool. All you have to do is push a button. Do you want to update? Yes, no. Bam. You just update it and then it links up and you don't have to go onto the computer to the ELRS configurator and all that stuff. So ELRS has been my nemesis for many years. Ever since about 2020, I started playing around with the ELRS receivers, and a lot of you guys have done the same thing, and it is a pain. But we're at the point in 2025, 5 years later, where, hey, ELRS is a lot easier. We've stopped getting so many multiple updates. Every time I turned around with ELRS, there was another update, and then my receivers wouldn't work with my modules, and it was driving me crazy because it was in the early days of development. Well, if you're just getting into the hobby right now, good news for you, because ELRS is no longer in its sort of alpha infancy stage. It's come along in this open source environment to a very publicly available firmware that you can use on your modules, your receivers, and it's a lot easier to update. Even updating the radio's internal module these days. Radiomaster has their own firmware for the TX15 for ELRS, and they recently released the TX15, which allows 2.4 and 915 on one radio. So as you've been watching my channel, if you're not new to my channel, if you've been around for 5 years or more here, you've watched me progress into using the Radiomaster Boxer, which is a mid-size radio, from my TX16, which is a larger one. So I've been getting smaller and smaller, but I found an affinity for these mid-size radios. And recently, I've retired my Boxer. So this was my daily driver for many videos on the channel. My most beloved radio maybe I've ever had was the Boxer. Love it. I even wanted to have release my own version of a Boxer with Radiomaster. And they're just working so hard all the time. They're coming out with so many new releases that here is the TX15. Before I could even talk about doing a Boxer, the TX15 comes out, also the Max version that I have here, and we're giving this one away. So if you're watching this video, like, comment, subscribe, and you'll be entered to win this one on October 20th. I have to say that in every video because this one's about $200 retail. I'm giving away the original box with it, the radio itself with a battery in there, as well as the case that comes along with it and all the accessories. But this is great because this allows me to run just about any receiver that a company sends to me, 2.4 or 915 on one radio. That's great. Because sometimes I go to buying something up and I realize, oh man, it's a 915 ELRS. That sucks. This Boxer radio won't run that because it's strictly 2.4. But the TX15 will run either one. That's great. So it adds a lot of plausibility to my situation where I have tons of receivers all the time. So today I wanted to take this opportunity to quickly show you how awesome this gold edition is. I'm going to open up this box real quick. I'm just going to do a mini unboxing and show you what's inside this box, because I don't know that a lot of you guys have seen the TX15 Max unboxed. And just, it's almost like an Apple presentation when you open these boxes up. It's a super fun experience, very satisfying. So let's go ahead and open up this Max edition with the AGO2s on board. Stinking sweet transmitter. There it is. That's the box that you get in the plastic wrap. My kids say all the time, Dad, that's so satisfying. Yeah, it's really satisfying to open up something brand new, just to peel back the plastic and open it for the first time. No one else has opened the box except you. You get to hear that crinkle wrap sound. Ah, that sweet plastic wrap. So I'm gonna throw that in the trash. And there, I don't know if there's a seal on these boxes. No. Go ahead and open this up. And this is the case. Looks a lot like the Boxer case. Not a big difference there. I've got some quick start guide right away. We got those classic radiomaster stickers. And I have all the switches schematic there, labeled the 3.5-inch IPS touchscreen, which is also cool, with Edge TX on there. It has that dial adjuster. And let's see, what is the voltage range? It is 6.6 to 8.4 volt. So you don't want to plug in anything bigger than a 2S battery in these radios. And that's most of the time, but here, let's do the reveal. Oh, this is so satisfying. I've been waiting to look at this transmitter with you guys. So my gold edition daily driver, let's check it out. Hopefully it's in one piece from China. And oh man, a little bit of factory dust on the screen there. And there is some type of clear plastic overlay over the screen, 3.5-inch touchscreen, a little bit smaller than the 4-inch screen on the TX16. You got those rubber grips, but look at that gold on there. That is a pretty sweet upgrade for my Boxer. Now, I do like the fact that this one is a little more rounded across the backside, but it's still a radio that you can stand up on the bench, because nothing annoys me worse than when you go to stand up a radio on the bench and it falls over. I don't know why some of these companies make rounded bottom radios. You can only lay them down. Maybe it's because they don't want you to damage them by standing them up and having it fall over and break a switch. But I liked the TX15 because they also put 4 3-position switches across the top of this one. And versus my Boxer had a 2-position switch here. And there's a little difference between, look at the TX15 here and the Boxer on the right. Both rocking that classic gold aluminum. And these sound really good. They also have different buttons across the front. You can see 1 through 6 right here for modes buttons. Or they will color change as well. And I don't think there's a battery in this one. They usually don't come with a battery. They do come with this for 2 18650s. Plug it in right here. You can also plug in a 2S LiPo if you want to. And it doesn't look like there is an SD card in this radio either. So that can be expandable for basically unlimited modules. Then we have this strap back here, and I really wish that I could retrofit this kickstand. I wanted to take my kickstand off the Boxer and put it on the TX15. I tried and it doesn't work, so don't try that. Now, one other thing I do like to have on my radio is I like to have these little tiny switch covers. So if you have a mode switch, I usually have my mode switch here and usually my beeper on this side. You can feel where they are if you're not looking at the radio. This is kind of a nice thing. You can buy these. I believe you can get these from Radiomaster. I think that's who originally sent me those. And it's kind of cool because they are labeled. It says F mode on this one. I don't think this one says anything. Some of them are blank. Other ones have ARM and different things on there. This is the SE switch, which this switch does appear to be different on the TX15. This radio is a little bit cheaper retail-wise versus the Boxer Max. I think the Boxer Max was originally around $250, and this one they brought in around $200. So this one does not have aluminum switch here, and this one feels a little easier to switch, and you really have to be very deliberate about this one. I do like the original Boxer switch here a little bit better. Now, what I do love about not having to take this in and out and deal with this all the time, try not to break these pins in a JR module bay, and make sure that, you know, this is on exactly right. I don't have to worry about and having the big diamond antenna hanging off here like this. I don't have to do that now with this one because I'm going to be strictly going ELRS. And when I go into my internal menus in here and I bind it up, no more modules on the back of my radio. I'm just going to run it straight from this one on either 2.4 or 915. And that really just, for me, simplifies a lot. And that's kind of what I want to do in my hobby. I have a very complex ecosystem of different radios and receivers and all the stuff that I have in my shop. So the more simple that I can get with things, the better. 6200 milliamp battery. This is a LiPo battery, much different than the 18650s that come in this little 2S setup. This seems to not last as long as the 6200, so I find myself having to charge my radio more. The good thing about this one is that you can charge the batteries inside the radio, and it is suggested to take this one out when it gets low and charge it with the XT30 here in the balance plug. So you're not recommended to charge this inside the radio. So if you get this one, just keep that in mind. But this is my recommended battery for either the Boxer, the TX16, or the new TX15. And people have been asking me, why did they do a TX15? Why did they start with a 16 and then move down to the 15? There's not a real good answer for that, other than when the 16 came out, 16 channels was typically very common. And then they also did like the TX12 and things like that. And they are expandable. You can expand the channels inside the internal firmware. So it's not really, you're not stuck to it, but most likely you're not going to use more than 15 channels. So that's not going to be a problem for you, most likely, unless you run scale aircraft and you're putting all kinds of different things on there, or you do long range FPV planes and you just have a ton of, say, like iNav modes and things like that. And that's where the switches across or the buttons across the front come in to play. So I'm going to plug this in, okay? And you can see this very large battery fits in the back of this radio. And this is a monster battery bay. It's really great. And now we are good to go.
Welcome to HTX.
It's alive. And I want to turn down the lights so you guys can see what this thing looks like in the flesh with all of the LEDs and the touch screen here. That is pretty cool, isn't it? Even the lights across the front for the modes buttons, super cool. And it looks like natively this radio comes with 28 channels. So even though it's called the TX15, it's not just 15 channels. It has 28 channels ready to rock on here. So even if you are an FPV plane guy, you'll have plenty of channels to play around with. And there's a front shot of the radio with the LEDs and the touchscreen in the front. If you move a stick, this should come back on. And my kids say all the time, Dad, that's satisfying. If you're watching this on your TV full screen right now, it probably is satisfying to you there in your living room as it is to me here on the bench, because it's just really nice to look at. What a great looking design. The built-in LEDs. Years ago, we were doing tutorials on how to install these LEDs, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to do it. And now they just come built into the radio. Radiomaster had a bunch of those kits laying around, and they figured, well, in the factory, that why don't we just have people install them into our radios, and we'll add that little extra bit of just coolness to our radios. But yeah, like my kids say, very satisfying to look at. I just want to keep the lights down low and have this radio show me all the lights. So yeah, that's my new radio, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to win this TX15 when you're making your comment. Also, let me know what radio system you're running right now. Are you running a Spectrum radio? Are you running Fly Sky? Are you running Free Sky? Are you running ELRS? Which one are you running? TBS Till I Die? Let me know what radio system you're running, what receivers you're using, because some people are also commenting that, hey, I'm going to stick with what I have for now. I kind of hope to upgrade later, and that's absolutely fine. I'm a big fan of use what you have. Absolutely. If you have old receivers laying around that you can bind up to a drone and go out and fly it, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to upgrade to the latest and greatest. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses in the FPV community. And honestly, nobody cares. When you show up at the field to fly with a bunch of guys, I'm not sitting there judging somebody because they're flying a 2014 Fly Sky, that's all modded out with a 3 foot long antenna, which I have seen. I mean, to each his own in the FPV hobby, and that's what this is all about. It's DIY. It's whatever you decide that you think is best for you. And what's best for me right now, 5 years later, into and out of the early stages of ELRS, I'm finally getting comfortable with it because, yeah, it was a nightmare to update with the Wi-Fi updates, the pass through Betaflight pass, all this stuff was such a pain. And now they just seem to be working a lot better and a lot less updates and headaches. So I also have to say that I'm not bashing on TBS Black Sheep, the company that makes this. That is one of the greatest companies in the history of FPV. Also, this has been my most reliable, robust module in my history of flying. This module may outlast both of these radios, but it also depends on, if you take care of things, you can also replace the boards inside these. You can get a whole new motherboard from Radiomaster should you burn up one. So you can take the whole thing, slam out, and put a brand new one in it. So that's also something you need to know. You can get parts for these radios, and the same thing for TBS, I believe. But very reliable. I'm not a TBS hater. I'm actually a TBS big fanboy. I love that company, and I think that are, again, like one of the greatest FPV companies of all time, as well as Radiomaster doing their own thing, their own way, which is super cool. And it's nice that we can get this one for $200 for the Max edition. I think the cheaper one is around, I believe it was around 130 something dollars for just the standard edition TX15. So yeah, more channels on the TX15, up to 28 channels that I saw immediately going into the menus. But we'll go into a little more of a tutorial, an in-depth tutorial for you later on the TX15, just to get some of you guys up to speed with what the options are on it, because it's a pretty deep radio and there's a lot to it. So stay tuned for what's next on the channel. I'll keep you guys updated with all the newest and new releases from the FPV community of manufacturers, new radios, drones, airplanes, and sometimes helis on the channel. I'll keep you posted. And good luck, everybody, on the giveaway. And happy FPV to everybody out there. The weekend's coming up, and we're going to be flying very, very soon together again. So take care again, and I'll see you on the next one.